And welcome back to the Sports Project Show. John Gonzalez filling in for the Professor Steve Project. And we've been having a lot of fun today, folks. Hopefully you've been tuning in, listening in, and enjoying some of the interviews that we've put together for you here on a Saturday morning. Good, beautiful Saturday morning it is. I'm coming in hot from Traverse City. I was up there last night for the Gabriel Iglesias comedy show, Fluffy. Got a chance to hang out with him and introduce him before the big crowd there. It's my third time introducing Fluffy to the Traverse City area. He's been up here a few times over the years, and just honored, privileged to. They say, "Hey, Gonzo, can you come on up and introduce Fluffy?" And I'm like, "Sure, if you want me to, I can do that." But it's a lot of fun. It was a packed crowd. It rained right up till showtime. Here's the funny thing about the rain: it was raining so hard, the sun was out. It was the weirdest thing. And people were in line to get in there because there was general admission and reserve. So the general admission crowd got there early, and they were in the rain with their umbrellas. Well, as they went in the door, the rain stopped, and you can't take umbrellas into the venue. So they were a big pile of umbrellas at the door. And on the way out, I'm like, what, is there a giveaway? Is there something going on over there? No, people were trying to find their umbrellas after the show. So anyway, overall, great night, a lot of fun. But today, we're talking sports. Yeah, I want to thank all of our guests earlier in today's show. Lenny Padilla from WestMichiganBallers.com, Tony Paul from the Detroit News, and just you heard a few minutes ago, Jim Jarecki, General Manager of the West Michigan Whitecaps. Well, this hour of the show, it's going to be a special Big League Dreaming podcast takeover of the Sports Project Show. And you're going like, what is Big League Dreaming, the podcast? Big League Dreaming, the podcast is a show about baseball, dreams, and what, Ty?
Family.
That's right. It's a baseball podcast with a dad and his sons talking about the game they love. And every Saturday morning, typically every Saturday morning, depending on how busy we are, we drop a new episode thanks to Ty. And I want to welcome to the show, to the Steve Project Show, Ty Gonzalez, my middle son.
Thanks for having me. I'm super pumped for this. This is my first time being on radio in a long time. I think the last time I was on radio with you, I was 5 or 6 years old on W Light with Dave and Jerry in the morning.
I remember that. Yeah, you came in. Did you go to the dentist or something afterward?
Something like that. Yeah.
You asked me, "Just coming with me to the radio?" So I forgot all about that.
So it's been 25 years.
25 years
since I've been on the radio with you.
Just don't make it 25 more. I said my middle son. I should say our middle son, because the lovely Pam, my wife of 37 years. 37 years. We'll celebrate 38 in November 1st. But yeah, our family podcast, and I include her because she, without her, we wouldn't have this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. She keeps everything rolling, keeps us together. I love the Mother's Day special we did for her back in May. That was really nice, talking about memories about our mom.
Moms are the glue that hold the family together, no question about it. And let's just put it out there. I mean, without Mom, without Pam, I don't know if this family would be into baseball as much as they are. I mean, even though I grew up loving baseball and played baseball, I kind of fell out of baseball in college, and it was her that brought me back to it. Really, I mean, we were watching a 60-minute show about how baseball sports cards were making a big comeback or whatever. And she's like, "Well, didn't you collect when you were a kid?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Let's go back home and visit your mom and dad and look for your old baseball cards." I'm like, "Okay." So we got them, and then like two of us just spent the next few months just going through all of them, researching them, talking about baseball. She loves the Tigers as much as I do, and we kind of like had this thing for baseball. And then you guys all came along, and of course, we're going to make baseball part of our life.
Yep.
And for up until, Zach was born in 1989 and you were born in 93, Zane was born in 96, baseball's been a big part of our family.
Yeah, it has. Yep. I could definitely say Mom might be the biggest fan out of all 5 of us. And just speaking with Jarecki earlier, the Whitecaps too, how perfect is that, being right in our backyard growing up too? So I think that helped a lot too. I
remember the day the Grand Rapids Press, I was working, and they announced, it was a big front page headline, minor league baseball coming to Comstock Park. And I'm like, am I dreaming? Because that's where we live, that's where we grow up, right? Comstock Park. And I'm like, could there be a ballpark right in our backyard?
Right in our backyard, yep. I mean, we could pretty much see the fireworks from our house.
I think we can.
Yeah.
We can. It's been a blessing to have the West Michigan Whitecaps be part of our family history as well. But this podcast, I think I mentioned earlier in the show that we would talk about how it started. I don't know if you remember or not, but we were talking about how our families are growing, right? Your family is growing. Zach's family in North Carolina is growing. Zane's coaching, and he's got his family now. They're all three of you are married, and we started thinking like we got to do something to keep the family together, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, baseball podcast was the obvious choice, right?
Right. We're like, why not?
Yeah. And then the one thing I liked that we did last year was not only did we keep the family together by doing a baseball podcast, but we went on a baseball trip, which we hadn't done in a long time.
Yeah, so Ty is exactly right. So over the years, we've been on some epic baseball adventures as a family, all five of us. The only bad thing about this most recent one, we didn't take Mom with us, right?
Yeah.
But we decided, and folks, you can find it on YouTube right now. If you go to YouTube and you search for Big League Dreaming, the podcast, you'll find our baseball trip that we did last August. It's been almost a year now that we accomplished it. Ty, before we bring on Zach in a few minutes here, tell us about this baseball trip. Where did we go and how did it all come together?
So I in the winter, the off season, we were kind of just talking baseball, talking spring training. You know, what's everyone looking forward to? And I came across a YouTube video of a guy going to 3 ballparks in 24 hours. And I thought, man, that'd be so much fun. Well, let me check it out. And it was cool, but he was kind of just visiting them and then leaving them. So he wasn't really watching the games. You know, he'd go there, get a hot dog, and leave. So I thought, man, we could do that, and we could actually watch the games. That sounds like a real challenge. So I just threw it out there in the group chat with all you guys that we had for the podcast. I'm like, hey, check out this video. Do you guys want to do it? I didn't think anyone would take me up on the offer at all. But out of nowhere, let's do it. Zach's looking up flights. He's looking at all the team schedules. Okay, here's 18 different routes we could do in June. Here's 10 of them we could do in July. I'm like, oh man, we're actually going to do this? Okay, all right, let's do it.
I was surprised too because he really got into it. He was mapping out, we could go here, then Chicago, then Kansas City.
Yep.
I mean, I was like, whoa, he's doing the research.
Yeah.
He is doing the research. I said, yeah, like you, I was like, oh, well, okay, well, I guess we're going to do this thing, right? So tell people what the route we finally settled on.
So the route we finally settled on is, since we were all in different areas of America, we started all in Baltimore. So we saw a night game there in Baltimore. Then in the morning, we flew to Milwaukee for a day game. And then after the day game, we drove through Chicago rush hour to see the White Sox Yankees for a night game.
And we watched every first pitch of every game and every last pitch of every game.
Yep, we watched game start to finish. That was the rule going in. We're like, if we're going to do this, we got to watch the games start to finish. And it got kind of crazy in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
we saw an extra inning game.
Yeah, if you want, it's the video's maybe 28 minutes long.
Yeah,
30 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes maybe.
20 minutes. It's not that long really, but if you want to see what that adventure was like, we filmed every part of it. Ty, who does the video production as well as DJing and does a lot of different, does his YouTube channel with his wife. You know, spent hours on this special episode of Big League Dreaming, the podcast. And go through it, folks. It's fun. Ty did a masterful job of editing. He did the voiceover, the music, you know, the suspense. Are we going to make it? He even captured me at my best athletic shape.
That's right. Yep. The sprint out of Milwaukee after the walk-off.
I remember, and we'll have to ask Zach when he comes on the air here in a second. We got to Milwaukee, and we had a rental car at that moment. That was the middle game because we had to leave the stadium to go to Chicago in a rental car. Getting the rental car is an adventure on its own, but we'll talk about that another time. But we get to this entrance of the stadium where we got plenty of time to get to first pitch. We're doing well. And then, like, they wouldn't let us bring in the tripods?
Tripod, yeah. Yeah, I had the tripod all set up because we did it at Baltimore and it was no problem at all. Like, yeah, come on in, guys. I got the tripod. Go take this super long walk at Milwaukee. I didn't realize how big of a tailgate place that is.
They tailgate.
They tailgate for, it seemed like a mile long.
It was a long distance.
So we finally get to the front of the stadium, like, what was it, 12:45-ish games in 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, you can't bring that in. MLB rules. We're like,
okay.
all right.
So Zach volunteered to run the tripod back to our rental van and then sprint back.
Yeah.
And we were there. We're like, oh gosh, is he okay?
Yeah.
And he came back huffing and puffing, and that was the precursor to my huffing and puffing, because we got in the game, we ate, we had fun. You know, people we had shirts on, special shirts, and people were talking to us about our trip for 3 games in 24 hours. And the game went extra innings, like Ty said, and you'll see in this video, we waited till the very last second. We were in extra innings when we had to sprint to the van to get to Chicago in rush hour traffic. I don't know how I did it.
I don't know. You passed all of us though. Me and Zach went sprinting out of the stadium. We're like, where are they? We look behind us. You guys are way back there.
Right.
And out of nowhere, here you come. Hand me the keys. Hand me the keys. We're like, whoa, where'd he come from?
I grabbed the keys and then I went. Well, we'll have to ask Zach a little bit more about that. Folks, you're listening to the Sports Project Show. John Gonzalez along with Ty Gonzalez, and we're talking about our podcast, Big League Dreaming, the podcast. We're going to take a quick little break and then bring on the oldest son number 1, Zach here. It's all coming up on the Sports Project Show in a moment. And welcome back to the Sports Project Show. John Gonzalez filling in for Steve Project, the Professor. Thank you, Steve, for letting me come on by here and talk a little bit about some of my favorite things in sports. If you tuned in earlier, we had some fun conversations with my good friend Lenny Padilla, Jim Jarecki, and Tony Paul, talking baseball, high school basketball, West Michigan Whitecaps. But on the most recent part of the show, this hour, the 11 o'clock hour, the last part of the show, it is a takeover. You've heard in the beer world of tap takeovers. This is a radio show takeover. Big League Dreaming, the podcast, is a passion project of ours, and it's a dad and his 3 sons talking about baseball. The podcast is about baseball, dreams, and like we like to say, family, right, Ty?
Family. Yep, that's right.
And we had Ty on here, the middle child, talking about the podcast and our fun trip we did last summer, traveling to 3 different ballparks in 24 hours. You can find that video. Just search for YouTube on your YouTube. Search for Big League Dreaming, the podcast, and you'll find that video. I think is it pinned up to the top there?
Yeah, it's pinned on the top of our channel.
You'll be able to find that rather easily. Ty, I forgot to mention we were going to talk about UFC. Maybe we'll do that later in the show if we have time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because is there any big fights tonight?
Nope, they don't. They have the weekend off for the holidays.
Okay.
The few times they have off throughout the whole year. Which is why I like UFC. It's all year round. There's no off season. Yeah,
every weekend there's another fight.
Yeah,
seems like,
except for like the holidays, like Christmas, 4th of July, Labor Day, all that stuff.
Well, joining us on the line right now is son number 1, Zach Gonzalez. Zach, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. Good morning. Happy 4th of July weekend. I wish you guys were down here in South Carolina at the pool with us.
That's right. You're at the that's a beautiful pool in a beautiful area, beautiful state, South Carolina. The Carolinas are just gorgeous. Ty, you and I, we all spent some time down there, right? The whole family. We were down there not too long ago.
Yeah, I know. Like. It seems like not too long ago, but it's been like 5 years for me.
Yeah. Zach, you love living in the South, though, right?
Oh yeah, can't beat it. I'm not a snow person, so I'm happy where I'm at.
Well, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the All-Star break coming up for Major League Baseball, Futures Game, Home Run Derby, draft a little bit. We don't have a lot of time, but we do want to ask you about my sprinting abilities to the van. We were just talking about our trip and how I was able to muster up enough energy to get us to Chicago.
Oh yeah, that was wild. 3 ballparks in 24 hours. The Brewers game went into extra innings. We literally had to run to the car and battle Chicago rush hour traffic for the first pitch against the Yankees on the south side. It was crazy.
What do you remember most about that trip?
What do I remember most? Well, I remember that we saw a lot of good baseball. I mean, all of the travel was crazy, but that Orioles game that we went to, the comeback by Houston was crazy. The manager ejection, like I said, the walk-off in Milwaukee, and then seeing Aaron Judge hit a home run in Chicago. So kind of all around, it was a great 24 hours.
Talk to a little about Zach. He's focused on the baseball. You and I are talking about the food and the travel, everything else going on, right?
I'm still thinking about those cheese curds in Milwaukee with the cheese curds into French fries. We're like, what the heck's this at the bottom?
Yeah,
cheese curds in the French fries.
And I love the local beer in Camden Yards. Remember that?
Oh yeah, they had some good stuff.
It was a fun trip. But yeah, Zach, since you're our resident nerd when it comes to baseball and a Mariners fan. By the way, folks, the podcast is fun because we all have our favorite teams. You would think that they all grew up here in West Michigan. They all grew up Tiger fans initially, but they all kind of have their own team. So Zane, the youngest, is a Red Sox fan. Ty, the middle, is a huge New York Mets fan. And then Zach, you're a huge Mariners fan. Why do you think that happened? That we all have different affiliates?
I don't know. I don't want to say it's because the Tigers were not doing too hot in the late 90s. But I feel like, I don't know, we're just all kind of gravitated towards certain players and have been like open to just watching, like just being baseball fans in general instead of being, I don't know, having any hatred to any other teams or anything like that. So it just kind of like happened naturally how it did. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. All right, let's get to some of the things that baseball fans want to know about. I think the Tigers are going to have, it looks like, a couple of representatives possibly in the All-Star game. When is the All-Star game, and when is the Home Run Derby, and when is the Futures game?
Yes, so I guess start backwards. So the All-Star game is going to be on Tuesday. So that'll be, July 16? And that'll be 8 o'clock. And then on Monday night is the Home Run Derby. And immediately following the Home Run Derby, Monday night is the celebrity softball game. A lot of people enjoy to tune into that after the Home Run Derby. A couple fun celebrities going to be in there. Kane Brown, Terrell Owens, the guy from Dude Perfect, Bobby Bones. So that's always a fun watch. And then Sunday is the draft. So that'll be Sunday afternoon. In addition to the draft will be the unveil of the All-Star Game rosters. So the full rosters, the pitchers, the reserve players will be 5:30 on Sunday afternoon. And then Saturday is my favorite event, the All-Star Futures Game, which will be prospects, about one or two prospects per major league team will compete in that Futures Game. And they're actually doing something a little different this year. They're incorporating a skills challenge. That'll be the first time they're doing it. They got 4 guys from the American League side, 4 guys from the National League side. They're going to do 3 rounds of, I guess, hitting skills. I guess the first round there's going to be some bunting, and they're going to be hitting toward targets. Round 2, they're going to have to spray the ball all over the field to try to hit targets. And round 3, they're going to try to hit some home runs.
Wow, I did not know they were going to do all those added features. Why do you think, just to make it more interesting, entertaining for fans?
Yeah, I think really nowadays prospecting has just gotten so big with the access to social media and being able to really follow these young prospects coming up through our favorite systems. The futures game has really boomed, and a lot of people have enjoyed it. So I think they're just trying to give more stuff to the fans to see and enjoy and absorb. So it's a really cool move by Major League Baseball to do this.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know for the futures game, and I know you went to it last year, and you were telling us all about the experience. In fact, Ty, did you produce a video last year? Yeah, so you can find it on our YouTube channel, Zach's video from last year's futures game. But for Tigers fans, Max Clark is getting this to me is unbelievable. I mean, this kid, he's a kid, right? And he's playing in low A rookie ball, and he's going to be in the futures game.
He is. He's one of 2 Detroit Tigers in the futures game this year. Max Clark is the Tigers' #1 overall prospect, like you mentioned. He's actually number 10 in all of baseball. They're very high on this young lefty outfielder, Max Clark. And then the other representative for the Tigers in the futures game this summer is Hao-Yu Lee, a big second baseman, number 13 prospect in the Tiger system. A lot of people around baseball might not be familiar with Lee, but he has just had an awesome season. So really cool. Both him and Kevin McGonigal are both really rising up the charts as far as Detroit Tigers prospects. These are two prospects that people weren't really talking about last year. So pretty awesome for Lee to get this honor to be, as the number 13 prospect in the Tiger system to play in the Futures game is pretty awesome for him.
How about any Mariners? Do you have any Mariners prospects in the game?
Yep, so each team has at least one representative. The Mariners have two players this year. Harry Ford, catcher, who was actually at the Futures game last year. And then the other one is Cole Young, who's a shortstop. They're projecting him to be a second baseman at the major league level. He is in Double-A Arkansas right now with Harry Ford, and they are both 2025 ETA. Don't know if they'll come up for a cup of coffee in September this year. They definitely might. Mariners need some offensive help. So excited to see all the prospects across baseball on Saturday.
Zach, I know that your mom and I were already making plans to come babysit for playoff time, but I don't know. The Astros came out of last place, and now they're nipping at the heels there of your Mariners in the American League West.
Yeah, I don't like to say that A word. I just call them Houston. We'll see. I mean, I think the Mariners are really looking forward to the All-Star break, kind of reset. The trade deadline is in only 3 weeks. They're projected to get at least one big bat is their goal. So if they can get Julio going a little bit, I think they'll be just fine.
Hey, one last thing here. I know that Ty and I talked a little bit about the podcast and how it started and why we're doing it. What have you been enjoying about Big League Dreaming, the podcast, which we try to drop new episodes every Saturday morning? What have you enjoyed about, because we're on season 4, Ty, right?
Yeah, season 4. It's crazy to say.
I know.
I think what I have enjoyed the most is just staying in touch with you guys and being able to talk baseball every week. Just kind of having that ability to always get together, see each other's faces on a Zoom, and chat about something we enjoy and love has been really special. We're going to have these videos forever, and I think that's been a really cool part of it, aside from bringing in these awesome interviews, people to talk to in baseball, whether it be in minor league baseball, college coaches, scouts, things like that. That's been something that's been really special for myself.
And we've had a lot of fun guests too. Real quick, Zach, before we only got a few seconds here, tell everyone about our very first interview we did and about his good luck.
Yeah, our very first interview, what was it, 2019 now?
Yeah.
Was Scott Kornberg, who is the voice of the AAA Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and for the Miami Marlins. And just, a month ago, he was given the privilege to get called up to the big leagues. And he called one game between the Mets and the Marlins. And the Marlins ended up hitting a walk-off. And they said, hey, Scott, you're going to do this 9th inning here. And he got to call a walk-off win for Miami in his major league debut. So now he's back with Jacksonville, but pretty awesome that our first guest has made his big league dreams come true by calling a game in the major leagues.
Wow, great. That was a lot of fun to cover, and we had a follow-up interview with him on the podcast, so folks can tune into that as well. Zach, thanks for joining us on the show. It's good talking to you, and have a great Saturday. Enjoy those girls, and enjoy the beautiful weather in South Carolina.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, folks, we'll have more from Big League Dreaming, the podcast, here on the Sports Project Show, coming up next. And welcome back to the Sports Project Show. John Gonzalez filling in for Steve Project. I want to remind everyone that today's show is in honor of Ron Urbanus, who passed away suddenly on July 1st. His funeral is today. In fact, that's why Steve called me a couple days ago and said, hey, Gonzo, can you fill in? I'm going to be busy with this funeral. I want to be there for the family and for friends. So I said, of course, I'll do it. He also said, hey, while you're there, though, if you want to promote your podcast that you do with your sons, he goes, I think that would be a great idea. And if you've been listening in, you might have caught some of that in the last hour here, because my son Ty, the middle one, is filling in and co-hosting me with me this hour. How are you doing, Ty?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun on this. I'm excited to talk to the last of all three of us, the last son, Zane, here shortly.
I just want to remind everyone that if you want to make a memorial contribution, you can do that in honor of Ron. They should be made out to the West Catholic Education Foundation. You can read through his obituary online. It'll give you more details there. But again, we just want to we're thinking of the family and friends on this day. All right, so like Ty said, we have son number 3, Zane Gonzalez, joining us from South Bend, Indiana. Zane, how you doing? Wow, that's a good to hear his voice, right, Ty?
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He sounds ready.
Yeah, he does.
He's ready to. There you go. He sounds like a coach already too. Zane is the only one of the 3 of you still in baseball. Although Zach is working at the AAA level down in Charlotte, North Carolina, doing some stuff in the press box. But Zane, you're actually still involved in the game. You're the associate head coach at Indiana University at South Bend. You played collegiately there as well. You're working with the pitchers, you're recruiting. How is the summer season going for you? Because I know that you've had to follow a lot of travel baseball and recruits this summer.
Yeah, summer's been going pretty good. Pretty busy. We have tournaments going on at our field all the time. Like we have one this weekend. It's about our 3rd tournament. We got a couple more in July, but it's the busy time of year. There's a lot of recruiting going on, a lot of tournaments for travel ball. Same thing for us with recruiting because, kind of our recruiting structured differently than, Division I, Division II. We kind of go year to year. So, we're still recruiting for our fall roster. And, that seems like right now we got about 2 or 3 kids on campus every week. So it's a busy time of year for sure, but it's getting exciting because fall's going to be here before we know it.
Well, we're talking about our podcast as well, Big League Dream of the podcast, and we'll talk more about that. But we mentioned earlier in the show, Ty and I were talking about how our family really grew up with baseball, the West Michigan Whitecaps here. Travel baseball was big for us, though. We helped start the Grand Rapids Flames, which really ignited travel baseball for youth here in the West Michigan area. Before the Grand Rapids Flames, there have been clubs here and there, we should say teams here and there. But when the Flames came on board in 2001, we really were the first ones to have multiple teams at the youth level, 12 and under, right? And we all were part of that. Zane, you were playing travel baseball when you were 6 years old. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I remember going out to right field and filling in for a team, I think. I mean, I don't think I was actually on that team. I think they needed an extra person. And, I remember going out there playing right field, and it's kind of one of my first memories of actually playing baseball. So I remember that to this day, and standing out there, and, I remember catching a fly ball and kind of felt like Smalls off of the Sandlot, just standing out there going, please catch it, please catch it. But yeah, no, I for sure remember that.
I remember that game because I was like, well, all right, I think you were in right field. And I'm like, well, I hope he just catches the ball if they hit it to him. Sure enough, there goes a fly ball to right field. Little Zane is out there. And I'm like, oh boy, is he going to be able to catch this thing? Boom, nails it, comes running in like, I do that all the time. Yeah, it was a weird thing. I'll have to research that a little bit more, but I believe it might have been the Detroit area. We had it was like an exhibition game against another 8U team that was really good, and Zane got in that game. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about summer travel baseball and how these travel teams. Right, it's gotten to be a different level from when you guys even played. What are you noticing from summer travel baseball at the higher levels, like the 15U, 16, 17, 18? How has it changed? And are these players, how hard are they working to get to the next level? And that's the theme of our podcast too, of the work it takes to get to the next level. What trends are you seeing in travel baseball right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that's changed since we were all playing travel ball is really how many teams there are and how big these tournaments get. It seems like these tournaments are getting bigger and bigger, and there's more and more travel teams and travel organizations, which is good and bad. I think another big trend that I'm seeing is kids are really training year round for this. I think when we were playing, it was you were playing basketball and you would practice here or there in the winter. And you start to ramp up, around March, April to get ready for summer ball. Whereas now, kids are training and working on things, all the way January, February, March. High school level's a little bit different just because, they start their high school season.
And how is that? Has that transferred over to the quality of baseball you're seeing at the NAI level and D2 or D3, D2, and D1?
The talent level's definitely better. Like the overall skill of a player is better when they're coming out of high school and travel ball. They're a lot better because they're training, more often and earlier, and whether they're training bat speed or velocity, kids' overall skill is better. But kind of one thing that you're starting to see a little bit is kids aren't really developing their baseball IQ as much because they're spending so much time on developing the skills of it, but they aren't playing necessarily as much because back when we were playing travel ball, we'd play tournaments on the weekends. They wouldn't be terribly long, right? It'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe we'd play another team in town on a Tuesday. So we were playing more games, whereas kids today, they're playing mainly weekends and aren't really playing as much during the week. So you're starting to see baseball IQ a little bit be something that we have to kind of develop out of our young kids that we get out of high school. But that's just kind of something I've noticed along the way.
And Tom, we talked about that on one of our recent podcasts, right?
Yeah, baseball IQ is key to being a good, successful baseball player. Zane, I want to ask you, you said the tournaments are a lot bigger now. Like, what are they looking like now? I mean, do they have to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games? Or, like, how many teams are in these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think these tournaments are a lot of them that we host at the high school, because it's mainly kids that are high school level. All of them start on Thursdays. So you'll have, your pool play games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday will be bracket play. So a lot of the teams just play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And depending on the size of the tournament, depends how many teams make it to bracket play. But these tournaments have 70 plus teams every single weekend. Whenever we have a tournament on our field, and it helps that Notre Dame's across the street from us, so it attracts a lot of people and a lot of teams. I think that's kind of the trend that you're seeing as well, is a lot of these tournaments are starting to use colleges and universities to promote exposure and attract a lot more teams, and a lot of teams are going to them. And it's become really big sites for people to go to. I'm sure if you go look at some travel organization's schedule, it's probably it's college after college after college name of the site. Realistically, those teams are probably going to maybe play one game on those sites, on the main field, unless they make it to bracket play into the championship, and then those games are all on the main field at the college. So, but yeah, they're getting bigger and then lasting longer, and a lot more teams, probably 70 plus every single one that we've been a part of.
We're talking to Zane Gonzalez. He's the associate head coach at Indiana University at South Bend. He is my son and part of the baseball podcast, Big League Dreaming, the podcast. Real quick, Zane, what advice would you have for parents who are shopping around for travel baseball teams at that 15, 16-year-old level? I mean, right now, that's a struggle, right? The kids want to play with their friends, maybe with their high school teams. They want to maybe go out and get involved with another program. What advice would you have for parents? Like, what's a good fit for each kid, or is it depending differently on each kid?
The advice I would give, and I tell a lot of people this, is the first thing I would consider is what does the kid and player want to get out of it, right? Are they looking to go play college baseball? Because if that's their goal, then yeah, it's probably a good idea to look at some of those higher level travel teams that can help you develop and help you get stronger and get better at the game and the skills. The other side of it is some questions that you should be asking is, okay, if my kid wants to play college baseball, how are they going to help you do that? right? Are they going to talk to you about, how to reach out to coaches, how to, write an email to reach out to a coach, how to post stuff on social media? Are they going to be realistic with, your child about what level they stack up at? Are they telling everyone they're Division I kids, or are they honest with every kid and say, hey, like, you should probably be looking at junior colleges, because junior college baseball is a great avenue for a lot of baseball players, and it's grown a lot over the last 5 years. You see a lot more kids go to junior college because they need those extra couple of years to develop and play. So that's one question I would ask off the bat, is what the kid wants. If the kid is looking for kind of just something a little more, something to do in the summer, not necessarily concerned about playing in college, maybe then you don't spend as much money on finding that top team that goes to all the big tournaments. Maybe they just want to do something with their friends over the summer and go play with their buddies weekends here and there. That's fine. Like, at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to what the kid's seeking out, and that's kind of the question and conversation you got to have to get the ball rolling.
That's good advice, right, Ty? Because, I mean, it's not what the parent wants and what the child wants. I don't think I ever, with all three of you, never said, hey, let's get out there and practice, right? It was all you guys coming after me.
Yeah, right. It was the other way around. It was like, all right, you're home. Come on, go hit us grounders. Let's go. Come on, get to the backyard.
And I was like, I just need a break. I've been working all day. Nope, no break. No break at all. Hey, Zane, thanks for joining us, and have a great fall season, because I know fall ball's coming up for you pretty soon here.
Thanks, guys. It was fun being on.
All right, that is Zane Gonzalez. He is part of our podcast. Why don't you tell people, if they want to follow the podcast, they want to follow Big League Dreaming in the podcast, where can they go? Where can they get more information about the show?
Yep, you can check out our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast. It's Big League Dreaming the Podcast, and we're also on YouTube, Big League Dreaming the Podcast. And give us a follow on social media, TikTok at Big League Dreaming, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at BLD Pod. That's at BLDPOD. We'd love to connect with you and check out our show.
Yeah, you can find me and all the things that I do on on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram and on X at Michigan Gonzo, Michigan Gonzo. You'll find everything that I'm up to. Like last night's big show, watching Gabriel Iglesias at the National Cherry Festival. Tonight's the last night of the Cherry Festival, so if you're heading up there, Traverse City, they'll have a big fireworks show and a local show. The Accidentals would be performing with Joshua Davis. I should also mention one more thing before we sign off here. I co-host another show. It's called Behind the Mitten. It airs all over the weekend on 20 plus stations across the state of Michigan. It's with my good friend Amy Sherman. And on that show, we cover food, travel, breweries, wineries, whatever is going on around Michigan. We have you covered there as well. But if you get a chance to tune into that show, you'll find that as a podcast as well. All right, Ty, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks, again, next week you'll have Steve back. Steve-O. I know, we'll take Aaron. Steve-O.